Namaste. Lakshminada Samarambham Nadayamana Madhyamam Asmadacharya Pariyandam Vande Guru Parambaram Vayyagamyan Poigai Bodhan Peyalvar Maishirgon Magalmaran Madrakavi Poyil Pugal Koyergon Vishtu Jittan Pungode Tondaradi Podipanalvar Ayyan Arulkalian Etirasar Tammode Ar Irver Or Irver Avardam Saida தூய தமிழ் 24 பாட்டின் தொகை 4000 அடியோங்கள் வாழ்வே. Namaste and Namaskaram, Suprabhadam. Yet another session we are assembled here to share our Anubhavams and experiences and learnings. We start this program every time with Lakshminada Samarambham and a Tamil Pasuram starting with Vayyagamyan Poigai Budham. Without the Azhwar Acharya, as the group is named, Azhwar Acharya Kaingarim, without the Azhwars or without the Acharyas, we would not know Perumal or Tayar or Perumal Tayar's greatness or the concept of Jivatma Paramatma and what Jivatma is supposed to do and how Jivatma is subservient to Paramatma. So our daily routine must include paying our respects and thanks to the Azhwar Acharya. That is how the Sri Vaishnava Sampradayam itself starts with Lakshmi Nada Samarambham Nada Yamuna Madhyamam Asmat Acharya Pariyandam Vande Guru Parambaram. So the Guru Parambara lineage is extremely important, and it is a basic duty of all of us to remember the Guru Parambara every day. And it is good that we'll start reciting this on a daily basis. So what is the Sri Vaishnava lineage? Lakshmi Nada Samarambham, the one which starts from Lakshmi Nathan, Nada Yamuna Madhyamam, Nada Muni and Yamunacharya, who is also revered as Alavandar in Madhyamam, is in the center. Asmat Acharya Pariyandam, till everyone's Acharya, the entire lineage continues on yearns it is continuing. Right from Perumal Tayar, various Azhwars Acharyas to our current day Acharya, the lineage continues. So we start with worshipping this Guru Parambara. Swami Desikan has given this in Prabandhasaram in a beautiful way. Vayyagamyan Poigai Bodham Peyalvar Maishirgon Magalmaran Madrakavi Poyil Pugal Koyergon Vitchittan Pungode Tondaradi Podipanalvar Ayyan Arulkalian Etirasar Tammodu Ar Iruvar Or Avardam Saida Tuya Tamil 24 பாட்டின் தொகை 4000 அடியோங்கள் வாழ்வே. Here Swami Desikan pays his respects to all the 12 Azhwars and Sri Ramanuja together, who gave us the Nalayira Divya Prabandham. So this whole Pasuram in Prabandhasaram, Swami Desikan gives complete respects to the Azhwar. So the Azhwar and Acharya are extremely important for us to understand and reach Sriman Narayana. So this monthly series is about enjoying the Anubhavams of various Azhwars, Acharyas in respective months. Now we are talking of months. We are not here talking about the Gregorian calendar months. So obviously the program titles you will see will all have our Hindu way of living. And so we are talking about Masi Masam in this month. As we speak, Pangani is started today. But as our program schedule and the second week of this, we will focus on the Masi Masam. Masi Masam is extremely important. As you know, Masi Maham everybody celebrates as a festival. But very important from this context of our program, we are going to look at 4 important people who incarnated in the month of Masi. So Masi Mrigasirisham is the Thiruavatara Nakshatram of Sri Thirukachi Nambi. Masi Ayillam is the Thiruavatara Nakshatram of Sri Pillai Urangavalli Dasar. This name should ring a bell for those who participated earlier. Masi Maham is the Thirunakshatram of Sri Manakkal Nambi. And Masi Punarvasu is the incarnation of Sri Kulasekara Azhwar. Before I go into the other Azhwars and also, Masi Ayilyam, Sri Pillai Urangavalli Dasar, I said it should ring a bell because in the January session, we discussed a topic called Kannara Kandu. In that, we spoke about this Dasar so beautifully that he was so enamored by his Deviyar's beauty of the eyes that he was walking backwards holding an umbrella, and how Bhagavad Ramanuja made him show made actually Ranganatha show his divine eyes, and thereby Pillai Urangavalli Dasa and his Deviyar became subservient to Bhagavad Ramanuja and eternal Kaingiriam. So we already had the Anubhavam. Now, this month we will talk about Sri Thirukachi Nambi. Thirukachi Nambigal is a very important acharya in the overall lineage, where see, he is closely associated with Bhagavad Ramanuja. Thirukachi Nambi, as it says, Thirukachi is actually the name or reference to Kanchipuram. If it is Kanchipuram, it is Varadaraja Perumal. So the background photograph, you see the gigantic view of some portion of Varadaraja there. Of course, the Utsavar is also, you are able to see. Thirukachi Nambikal's original Tirunama, a rear pair was Gajendra Dasa. So he was doing eternal Kaingaryam, but so much Kaingaryam with devotion that he did. Varadaraja was totally pleased, and they had started having conversation. If Sri Varadaraja Perumal spoke to somebody, it is only with Sri Thirukachi Nambigal. Thirukachi Nambigal was wanted to perform Kaingaryam to Perumal, so he decided to do Thiru Alavatta Kaingaryam. What is Thiru Alavattam? Visiri or fan. So the Thiru Alavatta Kaingaryam, he goes to Ranganatha. So everybody first goes to Ranganatha. So Ranganatha, Thirukachi Nambigal goes and says, can I perform Thiru Alavatta Kaingaryam to you? Ranganatha says, you know where I am laying down? Between Tendira Kaveri and Vadadira Kaveri. I'm already having a lot of pleasant breeze and everything. Thank you. I mean, he's probably referring to his days. Now, I don't think people living in Srirangam will say the same. But that is what he is saying. So you please try elsewhere. So obviously, next Thirukachi Nambigal goes to Thiruvengadamudaiyan, Tirupati Perumal. There, Tirupati Perumal says, you know where I am standing? On top of 7 hills. Kulurarivi Vengadam, as all the Azhwars have sung about it. I'm always surrounded by water and pleasant clouds and all those things. Thank you. I don't need a Visiri Kaingaryam here. Then he comes to Kanchipuram, Varadaraja Perumal. Varadaraja Perumal is the Perumal who needs Visiri Kaingaryam. Why? Is because Varadaraja Perumal's Avatar Mahotsavam is from the Velvithi of Brahma. Brahma performs a yajna, for a very big yajna, for which he chooses Kanchi. Nagaredu Kanchi, one of the best cities, is what the Puranas have said about Kanchipuram. So Brahma performs the yajna. There are other stories which we'll see later. From the Yaga Kundam emerges Perumal, who is Varadaraja Perumal. That is why if you see the Utsava Perumal of Varadaraja Perumal, he will have certain spots in his eyes. Not as serious as you see in Parthasarathi, but it will definitely see the Utsav Murti of Varadaraja Perumal having a lot of spots in his face. That is because he came from the Velvithi, he came from the fire. So obviously, with a lot of heat and Ushnam around him, he happily accepted Thirukachi Nambi's Kaingaryam for Thiru Alavattam or fanning. So even today, if we are blessed, and if there is if Perumal decides, when we go to Varadaraja Perumal, sometimes the butter gives a fan asking us to do the Thiru Alavatta Kaingaryam to Perumal. So they keep doing on a daily basis. Thirukachi Nambigal keeps talking to Perumal on a regular basis. The love and affection and the camaraderie between Perumal, Varadaraja Perumal and Thirukachi Nambigal grew days and days, and they became very strong. There is perfect routine that Thirukachi Nambigal will follow on a daily basis on his Kaingaryam to Perumal. So there is a particular time he comes, he talks, he then does the Visiri Kaingaryam, offers prasadam, then goes home. Thirukachi Nambi Swami eats and then comes back in a particular time and performs the Kaingaryam. One such day, as he was ready to leave after the morning session, it pours like crazy. He's not able to go. So he was worried that if his delay in going, then delay is coming back, his Kaingaryam is going to get affected. He was worried. So at that time, as he was thinking, Varada, what should I do? An old man comes with an umbrella and says, I will go, I'm going near your house, I've seen you, come, let's go together. Happy that everything is going, he goes along with the old man. Old man waits outside house, he asks him to come and eat, he says, no, I've eaten, you go and eat and come. So he finishes eating and comes back, the old man is waiting outside with the umbrella. When they were walking back, there's a slight delay because of the rains. They take more time to come back to the Kovil. By the time the other bhattars who are there in the Kovil tries to open the door and find, it's shocking to find that Perumal has disappeared from there. They're totally, imagine you open the main door and you don't see Perumal there. The shock is, you just can't explain. And as it happens, they go talk to everybody and then find out where is this, the word spreads around. By the time Thirukachi Nambigal enters the Kovil, along with the Perival, and then they say all this. So he's so totally perturbed. He says, what is this? Perumal is not there. So he goes around, search, and when he opens the door and this, he finds Perumal there. So thrilled, he comes, calls other butter saying, Perumal is back here. He's here only. They're all very happy, and they said probably the old man who was so Tejasi, he was brought in all the luck and all that. They search for him. And then they realize that old man is none other than Perumal. With the love for Thirukachi Nambi, Perumal himself takes that form and carries the umbrella for Thirukachi Nambi, waits for him and comes back and brings. And that's an episode that it is etched ever. So as they keep talking, obviously because of the love and the blemishless devotion of Thirukachi Nambi, they continue the conversation of everything. They talk about Sampradayam, they talk about philosophy, they talk about temple management of Kanchipuram Kovil. They do a lot of things. And by the time Swami Ramanuja also reaches there. So Swami Ramanuja learns a lot of things from Thirukachi Nambigal, and he has some doubts. So the previous day he has asked those doubts to Thirukachi Nambigal. Thirukachi Nambigal comes and stands in front of Perumal next day and says, I have some questions. He says, I know Ramanuja wants these answers, and gives 6 answers. In Sampradaya, 6 vartegal or 6 words. Varte is generally common loosely used as words, but in some Sampradayam or normal colloquial things, it may even mean a sentence. So 6 vartegal is very, very important. What Varadaraja himself gave to Thirukachi Nambigal, through which he gave these answers to Bhagavad Ramanuja himself. And Bhagavad Ramanuja is our Acharya, Jagadacharya, who established Vishishtadvaita. What were those 6 words? Was first is Ahameva Param Tattvam. He says, I am the Supreme. Who else can say that? Then Varadaraja, standing, towering posture in which he stands, the command that you see when you really have the darshan, he is the only one who can say that Ahameva Param Tattvam. Then he says, Darsanam Vedayacha. The Darsanam, the Sampradayam vision is Visishtadvaitam, not Dvaitam or Advaitam, it is Visishtadvaitam. Then Upayesha Prapastistyat. Saranagati is the only means in which you can attain me. The 4th one is this Antima Smriti Varjanam. You don't have to remember me. Once you surrender, I remember you, is what Perumal is saying. Deha Vasane Muktistyat. Once you perform surrender, once the Deha falls down, you will get Mukti Moksha. That is the 5th word. The 6th word is specific to Bhagavad Ramanuja, Purnascharya Samashrayam, under whom Bhagavad Ramanuja should perform Samasharanam or Pancha Samskaram. The Pancha Samskaram is and Bharanyasam. The 2 aspects are extremely important to become a Sri Vaishnava. To become a Sri Vaishnava, it's not the birth or anything. It is the Acharya Sambandham that we get through Samasharanam, otherwise called as Pancha Samskaram, and the act of surrender called Bharanyasam. So Varadaraja Perumal tells Bhagavad Ramanuja through Thirukachi Nambi that you go get performed the Pancha Samskaram with Purnacharya. So that is how Periya Nambigal, otherwise Purna Swami, that's a different name that we have, but Periya Nambigal is his Acharya, under whom Sri Ramanuja should get performed. But Ramanuja, who established the Visishtadvaita, even he has to go through Pancha Samskaram, and that is how this Aru Vartigal came in. Just to re-establish and recollect what we spoke, the Aru Vartigal is extremely important. Ahameva Param Tattvam. I am the Supreme, says Varadaraja. Darsanam Bheda Evacha. Darsanam is Visishtadvaitam, is the path, is what he says. Upayeshu Prapattisyat. Saranagati is the only upayam to reach me. Antima Smriti Varjanam. You don't have to remember me. Even if you forget, I will remember you, is what he says. Deha Vasane Muktistyat. Once you perform surrender and this Deha falls down, you will attain Mukti. And the 6th is Purnacharyam Samasharaya. That is for Bhagavad Ramanuja, where he says, go and perform your Samashanam and Periya Nambigal. So this 6 Vartigal or 6 words is extremely important to understand our Sampradayam, the Visishtadvaitam. As this conversation and their friendship grows and grows and grows, one day Thirukachi Nambigal is very tired. He becomes older and older many years later. And he says, Varada, I've been doing this Kankaram, but you can see that my hands are trembling. I'm not able to fan you the way I used to do the previous years. I think my time has come. Can you grant me moksha? And here comes a very interesting thing. Varadaraja says, I can't grant you moksha just because of you being close to me or anything. For your Kaingaryam of fan, I spoke to you. I didn't speak to anybody else. I gave you the blessings that I'm speaking to you. Then he says, oh Varada, then how do I reach you? You might to have an Acharya Sambandham. You need to have Bhagavata Sambandham. Just being with me will not get you this. So he, Periya Nambigal realizes, takes the words seriously and requests the permission of Vagaraja to go have Acharya Sambandham, Bhagavad Sambandham. Then from all the way from Kanchipuram, Periyanambigal travels to Thirukostiur. Thirukostiur is near Madurai. So 2 hour drive from today. If you really travel from today's times, from Madurai, it's 2 hours. There, Thirukostiur Nambi is there. We all know about Thirukostiur Nambi, who first blessed the Tirumandiram to Bhagavad Ramanuja, is Acharya Sarvabhauman. He doesn't reveal the actual reason or identity that he is Thirukachi Nambigal. Goes and basically pays respects to Thirukostiur Nambi and says, I am Gajendra Dasa coming from Thirukachi. I want to do Kaingaryam. So Thirukostiur Nambigal asks Thirukachi Nambi to go and rear the cows in the shed. He happily does service, Kaingaryam and all that. At one stage, when there is one crisis happens, as Perumal Sankalpam would have, it makes Gajendra Dasa to reveal who he is. Thirukostiur Nambi is so pleased and so happy that he has such a ardent devotee of Vagaraja as his disciple. He blesses him with all the required teachings and all that, and thereby Thirukostiur Nambigal, after his time, reaches the moksha. So the very important fact is, normally in current days times, the naysayers will say, God is there, I am here, I don't need a middleman and all those things. It is ordained by Varadaraja Perumal himself that we need to have an Acharya Sambandham. We must have the Bhagavata Sambandham to reach him. Because in current day things, we can see there are lawyers and everybody, right? So the law books are there published. We all can buy a book for criminal procedure code. So tomorrow, can you go to the court and then say, I can be the lawyer? I have the book, I know the law, and I can say, I need to graduate, I need a lawyer to present what is the case. As simple as that. We may know the Sastras, we may have Perumal right in front of us, we may even do extreme, beautiful Kaingaryam like Thirukachi Nambigal. But still, an Acharya Sambandham is important, the Shramasharanam Bharanyasam is important to reach Perumal. So with this segment, we understand the greatness of Thirukachi Nambigal, whose Thiru Avatharam was Masi Masam Mrigasirasha Nakshatra. Then we are talking about the next Acharya in our lineage, not necessarily in that order, but overall in the Acharya lineage is Sri Manakkal Nambi. Manakkal is a place which is somewhere close to east of Srirangam, 50-60 kilometers from today's time. And he was an ardent disciple of Uyyakondar. So now complete devoted service to Acharya and Acharya's family. Uyyakondar's Devier passes away pretty early. So Manakkal Nambi, his original name is Rama Mishra. How he became Manakkal Nambi, we'll see at the end of this episode. Sri Rama Mishra is basically performs all the Kaingaryam for Acharya, including cooking and all that, taking care of 2 daughters, young little daughters of Uyyakondar. So he's literally doing all this at the Uyyakondar's family. Swami Sri Desikan in Itiraja Saptati says there are 4 Ramas overall. We have Parasurama, then we know Dasaratha Rama, we know Balarama. But all these 3 Ramas have some one blemish or the other. But this Rama Mishra is one Rama, which is the 4th Rama, who has no blemish at all, is what Swami Desikan says in Yatiraja Saptati. So that is the greatness of this Acharya, Rama Mishra, that he's completely devoted service. And when we say devoted service, is not just doing the day-to-day work or something. Parallelly, they also enrich the knowledge. They learn everything from the Acharya. Each Acharya may have many Sishyas, but they stand out in spite of all this Kaingaryam. Rama Mishra just stars or shines so well in the Sampradaya Vedic knowledge, the way he assimilates and way he is able to articulate. So as this goes on, one day, one of the duties of Rama Mishra is to lead the 2 little daughters of Uyyakondar to the other side of Kaveri for their daily schooling and all that. One such day, it is pouring rains. He escorts them, they had to go. While coming back, the rains are subsided, but it becomes a lot of muddy. One particular stretch is so muddy and the kids are too little. Rama Mishra just lies down as a bridge and allows the children to walk on top of himself. And Acharya knowledge so much. He allows 2 little girls to walk over him totally on his back and then cross the other side. He becomes a human bridge so that the children can cross over. And while they crossed over, the muddy feet was obviously on the back of Rama Mishra. So that became Manakkal. So that is how the Acharya was named Manakkal Nambi. So Uyyakondar was so thrilled and has no words to express the kind of service that he does to Acharya. So he says, oh, Manakkal Nambi, and blesses him. So that is the other Acharya. The Manakkal Nambi's Thiruavadharam is Masi Maham. So these two acharyas we have seen. So it is important that we know the acharyas. Important also we know what is their key things about the acharya in terms of their contribution to sampradaya and how they were being setting an example for acharya bhakti, how they were setting an example for living by the rules as per the Vedic life or the Vishishtadvaita sampradaya. That is why in original one of the conversations I said we need to remember our Hindu calendar and month, because celebrating our birthdays based on our cycle is more important. And how that starts is first is to remember, because today you ask what is the date of birth of Kulasekara Azhwar. We can only say Masi Masam Punarvasu Nakshatram on a particular Hindu. It could be a Sarvari Varsham or some Varsham. But as you all know, all this Varsham takes the same cycle every 60 years. So today we are in Sarvari Varsham. 60 years before also the same year would have been Sarvari Varsham. 60 years later is Sarvari Varsham. So Kulasekara Azhwar could have been born probably 3,000, 4,000 years back. That could have been similar Varsham, one of the 60 months that we know. So how do we remember this is only first celebrating our birthdays based on this calendar, so that we all know our birthdays, a children's birthday, definitely on our calendar based on the Hindu cycle. Which masa, Ani masam, Adi masam, Chitra nakshatram, Punarvasu nakshatram, Rohini, whatever may be it. So we have to inculcate this practice, because once that practice comes into us, our children gets it. And as we discuss this, we will, when we go back to the roots and know, okay, Masi Maham is Manakkal Nambi. Otherwise, we know Masi Maham is a lot of Utsavam in many Perumal Koils. Thiruvaindipuram is lovely Utsavam. Go to any Perumal Koil, it will be beautiful Utsavams there. And one of the Masi Paurnami, in Marina, you will find Samudra Snanam is important, and in Marina there will be a lot of Perumal will come in Utsavar from Mailarpur, Srinivas Perumal and Parsadi Perumal Utsavar will come in, and we'll all can have a holy bath on Masi Paurnami, which should have just happened 2 weeks back. So like this, the Tamil months have got a lot of importance, and it is important we remember this, we inculcate in ourselves and the next generations, future generations, so that this continues. Because only then we will be able to recollect our acharyas. Only if you recollect acharyas, we can even go anywhere near Perumal and Tayar, and only then we can get salvation, moksha. So we are now going to talk a very, very important avadhara in the Masi month for Masi Punarvasu. Masi Masam, Punarvasu Nakshatram, Kulasekara Azhwar was incarnated. Kulasekara Azhwar is considered to be the Amsam of Kaustubam. If you look at Ranganathan's Utsavamurti, Nambarumal, you will find a lot of jewels around. One of the jewels will be a 4-stoned beautiful piece on right at the center of the chest. That's called the Kaustubam. That Kaustubam's Amsam was Kulasekara Azhwar. Kulasekara Azhwar has his Thiruavadharam in Thiruvanjikulam in current day Kerala. He was born in a royal family, a king. The king among Azhwars, if you have to say, normally by sampradayam, by respect and everything, it's Swami Nammalwar. But if he's a king among Azhwars by birth, by really being a king, it is Kulasekara Azhwar. So he was running a kingdom, completely devoted, what you call a Ramarajya, because Kulasekara Azhwar was deeply in love and devotion with Lord Rama. His everyday routine is to have the Ramayana recited daily. So obviously, if you take the Ramayana of 24,000 slokas of Valmiki Bhagavan, you can't do it daily. So you take one segment, say 1 month, for example, and do 124,000. Next month, the same 24,000 will start. So it is Kulasekara Azhwar's daily routine that he will have an acharya dedicated to teach him Ramayana and Ramayana Kada. His love is so deep. He gets so immersed in Rama Bhakti. If Rama is in trouble, he commands his army, again takes a man to say to the battlefield. That is his love. He doesn't even think that it happened sometime else and Rama is a Purushottama. He is only listening to the story. He forgets all that. He leads his army to go fight the villains. This happens in many places because in Aranyakandam, Rama fights with few demons. Then actually Ramana Ravana Yuddham happens. Even then it happens. So every time this happens, the Acharya is only forced to say, come and say that everything is fine. Go back. Ravana has been neutralized. Sita is back with Rama and he's very happy, comes back. One such time, the actual Acharya has to go for some other pilgrimage or something. So his son is deputed to do. Son wanted to impress the Raja much better than his father. So he goes under the story in such a big length that when Rama is impacted in the war, in the Rama-Ravana Yuddham, Kulasekara Azhwar actually faints. oh, my Rama is affected, what am I going to do? Kinds. By the time, luckily, the father Acharya comes in and then he says, no, everything is normal, you can go back to normal. So that is how the love was for Kulasekara Azhwar. And Kulasekara Azhwar had a peculiar dream every day. That very golden, shining kind of thing happens, and after many nights like this dream, finally he could say it was Tirupati Perumal Thiruvenkadamudiyan giving him darsanam in his dreams. He was blessed in such a way that his love for Rama on one side, Tirupati Perumal is giving him the darshan in his dreams and all that. So he's slowly becoming pious and pious. And then what he does is, okay, I'm going to relinquish this kingdom. I'm off to Sri Ranga. So Dine Dine Sri Ranga Yatra is a important aspect or a requirement given to all of us. Every day we are expected to take 2 steps in the direction of Sri Rangam and say, Ranga, I'm coming to you daily. Dine Dine Ranga Yatra is one of the important routines that you and I have to perform. Kulasekara Azhwar started performing that. Every day he'll say, okay, I'm relinquishing, I'm off to Sri Rangam, he'll start. The kingdom needed him. He's such a lovely king. People don't want to lose him. So all his good ministers and advisors will kind of dissuade him a few times. And after some dissuasion, like medicines, right? After some time, you become immune to the same medicine. So he said, okay, enough of all your words, I'm going. So now they started coming up with a new idea. As he steps out, the advisors and ministers will ensure there are 2, 3 Sri Vaishnavas come into the kingdom to meet the king. And the Sri Vaishnavas come, king says, okay, I have to now take care of the Atidhis. Sri Vaishnavas have come. So let me first give them respects and ensure that they're comfortable and all that. So by the time they 2, 3 Sri Vaishnavas come, they settle, they're happy. For few more weeks goes off. That means the king is staying back. The advisors are very happy. Next time again he starts going Sri Ranga Yatra. Then 3 more, 2, 4 more Sri Vaishnavas will be brought in. So this was happening at a constant basis because Kulasekara Azhwar wanted to relinquish and be in Ranganathan service all the time. But this was not happening. But as this was being stopped by the advisors, by bringing in more Sri Vaishnavas, they realized slowly that there is more Sri Vaishnavas than themselves, the advisors and ministers, and slowly their clout is increasing. So obviously they become jealous. Oh, I started something, now we are jealous about the same thing what they started. So that was the time when the Ranganatha's idol that Kulasekara Azhwar daily performs as Kaingaryam has a beautiful diamond necklace that goes missing. The advisors and ministers sees this as an opportunity. They said, you brought in a lot of Sri Vaishnavas who don't know where they come from. Maybe they would have taken this necklace is what they go and tell Kulasekara Azhwar. Kulasekara Azhwar was furious. He immediately orders a pot with the most poisonous snake closed and just bring it to the courtroom. He has the Sri Vaishnavas who have been charged of probably are suspected of stealing the necklace. Then you have the ministers and advice, and king is in the center. Now what he does is, he doesn't question anybody. He says, if I know for sure the Sri Vaishnavas would not have taken the necklace. If they have taken the necklace, let the snake bite me, and puts his hand inside the pot with such a poisonous snake in it, ready to sting. Nothing happens to him. So Kudappambil Kayittavan is one more terminology that is referred to Kulasekara Azhwar. Now here let's look at it in a very different context. He is the king, technically the judge. He doesn't ask questions. He doesn't ask anybody to prove. He is so clear that a Sri Vaishnava will not do such thing, and he is so confident. So typical Sri Vaishnava's life is first is integrity, obviously, because when you are performing everything in a sattvic manner and for the full belief that Sriman Narayana is all pervading and everything that we do is towards him, they are not going to do anything like stealing or anything, and he's so confident he does that. So he doesn't take the position of judge, he actually takes the side of the Sri Vaishnava. That was the greatness of Kulasekara Azhwar. So after some time, finally the people let him go, and then he starts his routines to Kaingaryam to Ranganatha. Of course, his love for Rama continues, and to Thiruvenkadamudiyan. We all know Krishna. When we say Krishna, we look at as a Balakrishna, all his leelas. There's Periyalvar's Pasuram that has right from waking up to taking bath to dressing him up and offering him food. Everything is there. But there may not be many slokas for Rama. Balarama we know. Balarama none of us know. We know Rama was born, then suddenly he is married Sita, then he goes to forest, then he finishes Ravana, comes back. That's all we know in Ramayana. There is no place that we look at Rama being what do you say, cared like a baby that we have experienced with Krishna. And Kulasekara Azhwar ensures that we don't miss out that part. He has given 11 beautiful pasarams where he gives Talelo for Rama. Raghavane Talelo, Raghavane Talelo. So if you ever want to treat Rama as a kid, Kulasekara Azhwar is where you go to and enjoy those 11 pasarams that he has given us in such beautiful way. So that Raghavane Talelo is an amazing experience that we can have from Kulasekara Azhwar's pasaram. Kulasekara Azhwar has given us 105 pasarams totally, out of which Nalampat, the 10 pasarams in the fourth segment, is one that across all Sri Vaishnavas celebrate in a big manner. It starts with Uner Selvattu Udan Piravi Anvendin. That 10 pasarams is fully for Tirupati Perumal, where as a king, he is a king. I mean, there are times that I can say, I am ready to relinquish everything. I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to do that. But here, that could be you and I or normal who don't know what is rich has been or what is being to be an emperor and cared for, pampered, if you have to use the code. All that we can see. But here is Kulasekara Azhwar, who was a king himself, who was waged wars, victorious king, worshipped and respected and loved by his subjects, and a very nice and powerful king now says, to perform service to Tirupati Perumal, I am ready to be anything. So this 10 pasarams in Nalampattu in Perumal Tirumali. Now this is the beautiful thing. Kulasekara Azhwar's works of 105 pasarams is called Perumal Tirumali. It's not Azhwar Tirumali, though it's Azhwar's Tirumali. Kulasekara Azhwar is also referred as Kulasekara Perumal, and that is given by Lord Rama himself. Sri Rama, with seeing the love and such love, I mean, extreme love for himself that Kulasekara was demonstrating, Rama says, you are Kulasekara Perumal because you enact as if I am there when you hear about Ramayana. You think that I'm there right in front. For that kind of bhakti, that kind of unblemished love, I'm going to call you Perumal. So Kulasekara Perumal is what Azhwar is also called. And that is why Kulasekara Perumal's 105 pasarams are referred as Perumal Tirumali. In Perumal Tirumali's Nalampattu, Uner Selvattu Yan Venden, in 10 pasarams, Azhwar says, I will be this, or I will be that, or I will be this, all agrine or some kind of things, not a human. Why? Because I want to be in service of Tirupati Perumal, Thiruvengadamudaya. To be in service, I'm ready to be anything, he says. So in the first pasaram, he says, I will be like a crane. Kurugai Perapene, in what he ends it. So a crane, what do you call? Crane, Narai, Kokku, whatever. That crane is there. So if I'm there in that stream of water around Tirupati, and if I'm like a crane also, it's fine. I will be there looking at Tirupati Perumal. I'm there in that place. Some service I can do. Then suddenly he realizes, what if the guy who comes casts a net and catches me off? If I get caught by a hunter, I have a problem. So he says, then I'll at least be a fish, Meenai Pirapene. So in the same water, I'll be just going around like a fish everywhere. Then suddenly he thinks, what if the water dries up in summer? I will be lost. I have no place to go. That means as a fish, I may be gone. So he says, Senbagama Irupene. So, the third one he thinks it as Ponvattil. That is the best thing he thinks. He says, I will become a bowl, golden bowl, which is kept on the right side of Tirupati Perumal, so that whenever he uses, gargles his mouth, when he has to spit something, I will be there to collect it as a basin. But then he gets worried. Ponvattil is fine, but somebody might think it is gold. They may take it on their own, or they may replace me with a better metal sometime. So I don't want to be this. So in the fourth one, he says, Senbagama Irupene. So let me be a Sembagamaram which gives all this fragrance, flowers with fragrance, which will adorn Perumal. Then suddenly he thinks, okay, I adorn, become a flower. What if instead of Perumal, the people who come in who just wear it on their head and go off? And that is why probably, I don't know, if you observed in Tirupati, flowers are not sold and we as individuals, we are not supposed to wear it. All the flowers there is only for Perumal and Tayar there. So that is an important rule there. Probably it's because of Azhwar's request, we don't know. So that is there. And then he says, Thambagama nirpene. So if there is a fragrance filled of flowers, people will pluck me. Let me be thorns, a tree filled with thorns, so that nobody will touch me, but I'll be here in service to Perumal. Then they think, oh, no, some good Bhagavata touches me and he pricks his hand and blood losses, so I will be the reason. So I don't want to be Thambagam. So he says, Porkuvadam, let me be the top the peak or the summit of all the hills here, so that it's full of trees around me. Bees are running around. So with all these bees are none but Nitya Suris who's giving all the Vedas in their sound. So let me be listening to all these things and then be in the service of Tirupati Perumal. So that is what he's thinking. Then he says, no, no, that is also I'm not very happy. So let me become a stream of water in the same hill, which will travel all over the place. Some water may also go to Perumal's Kaingarium. So I will be there for this. So let me be a water. He thinks, no, no, no. I think I'm not very happy. I think I should become Neriya. I should become a Neri. Neri is a beautiful Tamil word. Is the Vadi, Valke Neri, Tava Neri. Neri is the path in which we are supposed to follow. So here also the Neri is talking about the steps that people use to climb the seven hills. So if you really go today, the steps are there. He says all the Bhagavadas will touch me and go. So whoever is going to worship Tirupati Perumal, I will have the blessings of their feet on me. So that a king is saying. We have to remember Alvar's Bhakti here. As commander-in-chief, a supreme king wants to be like just a stone of steps where you and I can step on him and go in the worship of Tirupati Perumal. So Neriyai Kedathmene. Then he says, no, no, this is not what I want. Because today I will be Neri, tomorrow they will change me, something else will come, or they'll change the route, nobody will use this Neri, I'll have a problem. Or he probably thought scientific things, people will use a winch and not climb me anymore. So he doesn't want to lose out. The ninth Pasuram, which everybody, most of us know, the most revered Pasuram of this is Sediyaya Valvinigal Tirkum Tirumale, Nediyaane Venkadava Nin Koyilin Vasal, Adiyarum Vanavarum Arambayrum Kidandiyengum, Padiyai Kidandu Un Pavalavai Kanbene is what he says. Padiyai Kidandu, Endapadi. Sanctum Sanctorum, the steps in front of the Sanctum Sanctorum, where they will not change anything, and you and I can step, but Padiyai Kidandu Un Pavalavai Kanbene. That is the best thing. I can keep seeing your smiling lips all the times, is what Azhwar says. If you really observe that most of the time, subconsciously when we enter a temple, we bend down at the steps and we kannal othindu povom. That is because of this. We can safely presume that Sri Kulasekara Azhwar is there in almost every padi that we can think in a Perumal Koil. It can always call it as a Kulasekara padi, but definitely in Sanctum Sanctorum, he is there because that is his wish. That Sediyaya Valvinigal Tirkum Tirumale, Nediyaane Venkadava Nin Koyilin Vasal, Adiyarum Vanavarum Arambayrum Kidandiyengum, Adiyarum Adiyar, first you and I disciples, Vanavar, all the devas, Arambayar, Ramba, Urvasi and all this, Kidandiyengum, Padiyai Kidand, Un Pavalavai Kanbene is what Azhwar says. So that is the bhakti, that he wants to even be the padi in the sanctum, the step in the sanctum, and keep looking at Tirupati Perumal. Padiyai Kidand, Un Pavalavai Kanbene. So if you look at this, and then we had the Anubhavam of Thirumalai of Tondaradi Pudiyalvar, his last Pasuram, 45th Pasuram in Thirumalai ends his Empiranukku Iriyavare. So there too he is only looking at the smile of Perumal. Here also he says, Padiyai Kidandu Un Pavalavai Kanbene. I'll just keep looking at your Lucius lips, of course a smile in it. But here another important word is we have to remember, which is linked to what we discussed with Thirukachi Nambi. Sediyaya Valvinigal Tirkum Tirumale, Nediyaane. The Nediyan normal artham could be the tall because of the height and all that. But the actual meaning is one who remembers everything. So now what Aruvarthigal that Varadaraja Perumal gave to Thirukachi Nambi is Antima Smriti Varjanam. You don't have to remember, I will remember. The same thing Azhwar has already said, Nediyaane, that you will remember that we are all your subjects. We are here at your divine feet, surrendering fully, and you have to take care of us. And that is how Kulasekara Azhwar says. But even then he has a doubt that I may be the step in the sanctum. What if tomorrow they cover it with gold or something, that I will not have the Bhagavadas feet touching me. They will touch the cover on top of me. So he says, Embiran Punmane Mel, Edenum Avane. That's how he ends the 10th Pasuram. Embiran Punmale Mel, Edenum Avane, Yadadare, I will be on service to you. Because he just loses track of what I want to be, because everything has some limitation according to Azhwar. So He says, Empiran Ponmalimel Edenum Avane. I have to be of service to you. I will be here in some form to Tirupati Perumal is what he says. That is the love of Sri Kulasekara Azhwar. So this pasaram, particularly Uniru Selvatte, if you really recite this on a regular basis, you will see the love coming from the Kulasekara Azhwar. We will get the love, the same, some fragrance of it will definitely work on us, that we will start loving Perumal. நார்மலாக வந்து இந்த பய பக்தி ரெண்டு இருக்கு, பட் நிறைய பயம் தான் இருக்கு. பண்ணலன்னா என்ன பண்ணிடுவாரோ, தெய்வ கொத்து வந்துருமோன்ட்டு. He is like our father. Perumal Tayar are our actual parents. Yes, when we do something off track, they may condition, but they may what do you say, be upset with us, but it will be only with love. All we have to do is use our arms, Anjali Mutra, and surrender. He will do that, and that love comes more and more. So the more of bhakti, if you have to come, we have to enjoy the Azhwar Acharya. The more we know about Thirukachi Nambigal's Kaingaryam to Varadaraja Perumal, the bhakti will increase. The more we know about Manakkal Nambi's Kaingaryam to Uyakonda as his Acharya, the more love we will get. The more we read about Kulasekara Azhwar's bhakti to Rama, to Tirupati Perumal and Ranganath, Dine Dine Ranga Yatra he wanted to start, and finally give such lovely pasarams on Tirupati Perumal, our love will increase. So Bayam will reduce, bhakti will increase. But yes, there must be an element of Bayam, because Bayam illena tappu. But Bayam, probably I would say 5%, 95% bhakti if you have, it will be excellent that we can consciously have a wonderful love and a bliss while we are living there. Like Andal said, Engum Thiruvarul Petri Inburur Embavai. That's how Tirupavai ends in the 30th Pasaram. Engum Thiruvarul Petri. So Ingiyum Thiruvarul Rakno, Angiyum Thiruvarul Mokshatla. Moksham Pona Thiruvarul da, it is easy given. But இங்க இருக்குச்சே திருவருள் வேணும் அப்படின்னா ஆழ்வார் ஆச்சாரியரோட அனுபவம் வேணும். We have to start learning about them. We have to start reciting their pasarams, and it's difficult to get all the anubhavams they gave in one lifetime, honestly. But when you speak in the Bhagavata Sankalpam, when we have the satsangam, when we listen to upanyasams like various people, Velikudu Krishnan and others, we learn a lot of things, and that anubhavam will just stick on to us. And then from there we will learn, and that's how we condition ourselves towards love for Perumal and Tayar. As we move on to the next month, in the month of Ani, we're going to talk of Periyarvar, who's going to show what love is for God. So his love for Krishna, Swami Nammalvar's love for Krishna is all unparalleled, right? They're real role models for loving Perumal and Tayar. So we will reach that stage. First is to enjoy that stage and slowly inculcate that stage and start loving Perumal and Tayar. So on this day, thank you for this lovely opportunity to talk about Thirukachi Nambigal, Sri Manakkal Nambigal, and Sri Kulasekara Azhwar. So once again, thank you. I will open up this for discussions.